harvest, story time. Hip, hip, hooray! We celebrate harvest today. With thankful hearts we sing and dance and say, hip, hip, hooray! For food freshly farmed and foraged from field and forest, we say, hip, hip, hooray! For the hard work on the land, for the hundreds of helping hands, we say, hip, hip, hooray! For the marvellous, magical miracle that food grows in the ground and all around, we say the magic words, hip, hip, hooray! We celebrate harvest today. With thankful hearts we sing and dance and say those magic words, hip, hip, hooray! And sing a song of harvest.
The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain. 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 Harvest has been gathered, root, leaf and flower. We thank earth and sun, wind and rain who sustain. The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain. The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain. Harvest has been gathered, root, leaf and flower. We thank earth and sun, wind and rain who sustain. The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain. 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 Harvest has been gathered, root, leaf and flower. We thank earth and sun, wind and rain who sustain. The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain. The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain. Harvest has been gathered, root, leaf and flower. We thank earth and sun, wind and rain who sustain. The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain. The earth, the sun, the wind, the rain.
And harvest songs just like that one, once sung out all over the land. Once upon a time. In a small farming village not far from here, nestled in the emerald hills that were checkered with farm and fallow field and forest like a great green patchwork quilt. These harvest songs were sung out and rung out, resounding around the hills. For the people, they tended the land with love. They looked after the land each and every day, whatever the weather, come rain, come shine, come snow, come gale. They were out, working hard on the land. And they were rewarded richly. For each and every harvest time, their vegetable beds were bursting with beetroots and carrots, potatoes and parsnips and pumpkins and squashes sprawled along the ground, and peas and beans climbed the canes. And in the orchards, the generous trees were laden with sweet, ripe fruit, pears and plums and apples aplenty. In the hedgerows, they were aglow with the deep, delicious purple of elderberry and blackberry, and the red, the shining, radiant red of rowan and hawthornberry, rose hips. And in the woodlands, the branches were laden with nuts, chestnut, hazelnut, walnut, all nuts. And the people gathered in the good food with gratitude. They sung songs of thanks, thanks to every power that had played its part, thanks to Mother Earth, Father Sun, Sister Rain and Brother Wind, and they gave thanks and blessing to every part of every plant. A blessing on the blossom, a blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, a blessing on the fruit. The people gathered in the good food with gratitude and songs of thanks and blessing.
Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Mother Earth, touch our seed and give it birth. Father Sun, gleam and glow, make it warm and let it grow. Sister Ray, wipe your tears and shall the fray. Brother wind, breathe and blow, so the leaves are green they grow. Singing blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Singing blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit. Blessing on the blossom, blessing on the root, blessing on the leaf and stem, blessing on the fruit.
Songs of blessing and thanks sang out, making harvest time a time of hard work and happiness, hand in hand. Until one day when something changed. The people became very, very busy with very, very busy things.
Oh yes.
Ever so busy with.
Oh, very busy. Oh.
And they were so busy that no longer was tending the land a joy, but a chore. No longer did they take with thanks. No longer did they sing and celebrate. No longer did they say the magic words, hip, hip, hooray. And as though the land were listening to their silence, harvest began to dwindle and fade. Now those busy, busy people, well, they were too busy to notice.
Too busy for this.
But some did notice. The sharpest, the smartest, the specialist, the children. The children noticed that the carrots weren't as crunchy and the strawberries weren't as sweet and the tomatoes looked red and ripe, but they weren't quite right. Something was happening to harvest. But who could help? Why, the sharpest, the smartest, the specialist, the children, they would help. But how? Well, they went to ask the one that would know. The one in the village, the oldest, the wisest, the one who had been there the longest and who would outlive them all. They went to ask great-great-grandfather Oak, the tree that stood majestic and mighty in the village green. And as they approached great-great-grandfather Oak with their question, a breeze began to dance through the leaves and almost seemed to say, "Yes, children, something is happening to harvest, for the people have forgotten their thanks, forgotten to sing and to celebrate, forgotten to say the magic words. Hip, hip, hooray. And if you wish to help harvest, you must just remember these forgotten things. Remember to sing and to celebrate. Remember to say the magic words. Hip, hip, hooray. And then the breeze danced on and was gone. And the leaves and the tree stood as still as before. But the children had heard. And they scampered off and skipped off to the fields and the forest and found the marvellous magical miracle of food growing in the ground and all around. And the children gathered it in with gratitude. They gathered it in with joy and laughter and a song for gathering in the harvest. Harvest, time to gather in the goodness. What should we gather?
Apples.
Apples. We're gathering in the apples today, it's harvest time. We're gathering in the apples today, it's harvest time. Red and rosy, juicy and sweet, lovely apples for us to eat. We're gathering in the apples today, it's harvest time. What else shall we gather?
Potatoes.
Potatoes! We're gathering in potatoes today, it's harvest time. We're gathering in potatoes today, it's harvest time. We'll dig 'em up and lick our lips, thinking of the tasty chips. We're gathering in potatoes today, it's harvest time. What else shall we gather?
Chocolate.
No! How about some fresh green peas? We're gathering in the peas today, it's harvest time. We're gathering in the peas today, it's harvest time. They grow up high up to the top, look for the pods about to go. We're gathering in the peas today, it's harvest time. We're gathering in potatoes today, it's harvest time. We're gathering in the apples today, it's harvest time. And with harvest songs and much silliness, the children gathered in the harvest. They had handfuls, armfuls, cartfuls, and they brought all their pickings, all their produce, and piled it up under the protective branches of Great-Grandfather Oak, until they had a huge harvest heap, a marvellous mountain, enough for 1,000 feasts, a whole winter's worth. And then the children gathered round, circled round Great-Grandfather Oak and the harvest heap, and they roared out the magic words, hip, hip, hooray! And those very busy people who were very busy, doing very busy things, well, they were interrupted. And so they rushed out to find out who was making this rowdy, rambunctious racket. When those busy people saw the children celebrating their harvest, why, their eyes filled with tears and their hearts flowed with love and their memories flooded back. Memories of harvests of past days, memories of the old ways, memories of songs sung by their fathers and their fathers before that and their fathers before that. And those very busy people, they left their busyness behind them and they went out to join the children, to enjoy the harvest and to joy for the harvest done, singing the old songs, the songs of their fathers.
I will go with my father a-ploughing to the green field by the sea, and the rooks and the crows and the seagulls will come flocking after me. I will sing to the patient horses with the lark and the white dove and owl, and my father will sing the plough song that blesses the clean share. Sowing to the red field by the sea, and the gulls and the rooks and the starlings will come flocking after me. I will sing to the striding sowers with the finch on the flowering slope, and my father will sing the seed song that only the wise men know.
The old harvest songs sung out as once again the people celebrated harvest together, just as their fathers had done before them, and their fathers before that, and back, and back, and back. And what a party they had! There was feasting and singing and dancing all day until the sun began to set. It was a rosy, ripe harvest sunset. It was beautiful, but the people could not watch it without a touch of sadness, for the dark night to come. But we know the sun only sets to make space in the sky for other lights to shine. And sure enough, already rising on the opposite horizon, the ripe, round, rosy harvest moon. It was beautiful, but the people could not watch it without a touch of sadness for the dark winter to come. But we know, just as the sun only sets in the sky to make space for other lights to shine, So the summer must pass to make space in our hearts for the winter, the good things of the dark, the good things that were now sung of by the full harvest moon in her lunar lullaby. And it was not long before everyone in the village was fast asleep and dreaming of harvests past, summers gone and winters to come, dreaming deep to the lunar lullaby, dreaming under the harvest moon.
Autumn comes, the summer is past, winter will come too soon. Stars will shine clearer, nights draw nearer, under the harvest moon. Stars will shine clearer, nights draw nearer, under the harvest moon. Autumn comes, but let us be glad, singing our autumn tune. Stars will shine brighter, hearts feel lighter, under the harvest moon. Stars will shine brighter, hearts feel lighter, under the harvest moon. Stars will shine brighter, hearts feel lighter, under the harvest moon.
For the songs of harvest we say, hip hip hooray. We celebrate harvest today. With thankful hearts we sing and dance and say, hip hip hooray. But we're not just celebrating the food that's grown, because we're all growing, all of us, all the time. For every time you face up to a challenge with determination and dignity, your strength grows. And every time you do someone a good deed or feel thanks for help you've received, your kindness grows. And every time you manage to ride the wild waves of these turbulent times, your wisdom grows. So look back to your summer, and maybe you didn't spend it growing food, but you've grown so much. Your strength, your kindness, your wisdom have all grown. So gather them in, harvest them, store them away for the dark days, for when hard times come, you can call on them, call them up by saying the magic words, hip, hip, hooray. For your strength and kindness and wisdom, for all you've grown, we say, hip, hip, hooray. For all you're holding, for the help you get, the help you give, for your hard work, we say, hip, hip, hooray. For the marvellous, magical miracle that you are you, we say, hip, hip, hooray. We celebrate harvest today. With thankful hearts we sing and dance and say, one last time, the magic words, hip, hip, hooray.